Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Fellows. I am an engineer with Global Traffic Technologies, the manufacturer of Opticom Priority Control and Canoga Traffic Sensing Solutions. Global Traffic Technologies was founded in 2007 when 3M sold off its Intelligent Transportation Systems business. I started with 3M in 2002 and have been with the Opticom and Canoga businesses continuously throughout the last 13 years. Today's webinar will run about 30 minutes. If you have questions during the event, there are a few ways to ask. Please either go to the WebEx chat window and enter your question, or wait for the Q&A section at the end of the presentation. If we don't have time for your question on the webinar, we'll follow up by email afterwards to make sure you get an answer. Today's webinar is part 3 of a 3-part series of webinars that we have been hosting throughout the summer. Please note the availability of the recording of July's part 1 webinar about general vehicle detection and August's part 2 webinar on various detection technologies on the GTT website. In webinar 1, we outlined 3 application areas where detection is used in the traffic industry. This might not encompass all possible applications, but addresses the main ones. Signal control applications are by far the most common. Detection can help decide, for example, whether and how long a left turn arrow needs to be brought up in order to maximize the flow of traffic. Signal control detection can also be used for traffic counting in order to assess traffic signal controller cycle lengths. On a freeway, signal control detection can be used for ramp metering so as to optimize the entrance of vehicles onto the highway. Another application for detection is highway planning. That is, using detection to help count and classify different types of vehicles for the purpose of capacity and road maintenance planning. By definition, highway planning applications tend to be more data-centric than signal control applications. A third application for detection is real-time communications, sometimes referred to as ITS, or Intelligent Transportation Systems. With real-time communications or ITS applications, there is often a citizen warning element where the detection technology triggers some other display technology for warning or notifying the traveling public or transportation agency's traffic management center. In webinar 2, we outlined several detection technologies that help address these application areas: inductive loops, cameras, radar sensors, microphone arrays, Bluetooth devices, pressure sensors, magnetometers, preemption, and a growing list of others, all now represent choices in the traffic industry. During the webinar, we outlined some of the advantages and disadvantages of implementing these technologies. In today's webinar, we'll be discussing bicycle detection. But before we get into the technology itself, it's important to take a look at the bicycle market from a higher level. There are several perspectives from which to view the growth of bicycle riding in North America. Historical biking has been a form of recreation. As a kid, I always rode my bike with my childhood friend Rob, and we passed the time throughout the day by visiting playgrounds and other friends on our bikes. But it's not just for kids. In today's world, recreation is a big reason for bicycling demand. In fact, in a recent Business Insider article, bicycling was described as the new golf among young professionals. Notice the link that we have on the Business Insider article on the screen. A second and related perspective of bicycling is that of physical fitness. Devices that monitor fitness levels like Fitbits and Apple Watches are bringing hypersensitivity to fitness, driving the popularity of all recreational activities like bicycling. Bicycling is an excellent source of physical exercise and can be enjoyed both as a group and as an individual as an outside activity that is more interesting than solely a fitness routine at a gym. A third and also related perspective is that of financial awareness. Many urban dwellers don't own a car and depend on bicycles and public transportation for getting around on a daily basis. Either they can't afford a car or they have no reasonable place to park it. So bicycling for both personal and professional reasons becomes a part of life's necessities, often in conjunction with public transportation. So whether for recreational, physical fitness, financial awareness reasons, or other reasons for that matter, bicyclists are growing and growing rapidly on our roadways. Here are some of the numbers. Over the past 10 years, we have seen an average growth rate of about 46% in the share of people commuting via bicycle. And the numbers aren't regionalized. They're across the country, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, and South. Initiatives such as Bike to Work Day, bike-friendly communities, and others have emerged and is driving the adoption of bicycle commuting even higher. Also, the voice of bicycle associations and advocacy groups, such as the League of American Bicyclists, the Adventure Cycling Association, and dozens of others, is getting louder as bicycle-friendly initiatives grow. Just last week, I noticed a press release that Amtrak is expanding its roll-on bicycle service between Washington and Chicago. So all around us, we're seeing substantial growth in bicyclists. There are several proposals that have been put forth in order to facilitate safe bicycle passage. One example is to create elevated cycleways, such as that suggested in the CNN article published earlier this year. Another example in cold weather climates is to create heated bicycle paths, seen on this slide in this European proposal. One of the best videos I've seen in a while about tackling the problem of accommodating bicycles in large urban areas came from the former Commissioner of Transportation in New York City, who was a guest speaker on TED Talks in September of 2013. It's a really good overview of small changes that were made in New York to accommodate for a changing demographic to make some sections of the city more pedestrian-friendly, bicycle-friendly, and transit-minded. The link to the video can be found on your screen. We're going to show a clip from this video that highlights a change that was made in order to make one street more bicycle-friendly.
I think one of my very favorite moments as Transportation Commissioner was the day that we launched City Bike. And I was riding City Bike up First Avenue in my protected bike lane, and I looked over and I saw pedestrians standing safely on the pedestrian islands, and the traffic was flowing, birds were singing, the buses were speeding up their dedicated lanes. It was just fantastic. And this is how it looked 6 years ago. And so I think that the lesson that we have from New York is that it's possible to change your streets quickly. It's not expensive. It can provide immediate benefits, and it can be quite popular. You just need to reimagine your streets. They're hidden in plain sight. Thank you.
So this clip was the final minute of an 18-minute talk on some of the measures that New York City took in making sections of the city more bicycle-friendly. One of the things that struck me in particular was the before and after photos from 2007 to 2013. It didn't take a major investment, just some minor tweaks in order to make a significant change. Although this most recent example comes from New York City, you don't have to be a large city to consider bicycle-friendly changes in your transportation system. University towns or university sections of cities, for example, are a great place to start with bicycle initiatives. Also, cities and towns that have aggressive green initiatives are embarking on bicycle-friendly programs to improve the flow and safety of both bicycles and vehicles in their communities. Vacation destinations, elementary school locations, and park locations are all other examples of locations that warrant the consideration of bicycle treatment. So whether you're a bicycle advocate or not, the reality is that more and more bicyclists are using the transportation infrastructure that is out in the streets of our cities and towns. So one question that emerges is your community taking a proactive or reactive approach to dealing with bicycles? The rest of today's webinar provides one starting point for addressing the challenges of dealing with this growing population of bicyclists using the transportation infrastructure, specifically accommodating for bicycles at or near signalized intersections. These intersections may or may not have dedicated bike lanes or bike paths associated with them. As we've discussed in our previous webinars, it all starts with detection. That is, being able to detect that a bicycle is on the road. Implementing a detection technology that can discriminate between bicycles and cars is a key next step, because by doing so, you have the flexibility to implement subtle or significant changes at the signalized intersection. For example, one approach might be to simply count and calculate the mix of bikes versus cars that are using the intersection. That, in turn, could lead to making small time-of-day signal timing changes within the traffic controller. A more significant approach could entail giving bicycles special signal priority treatment as they approach the signalized intersection. This would involve not only detecting the bike, but providing bicycle-specific treatment within the traffic controller. This is an approach that the city of Minneapolis is implementing right now. In a minute, we're going to show a short, somewhat unassuming video illustrating bicycle and motor scooter priority at a signalized intersection in Minneapolis. Before we do that, I want to summarize the infrastructure and the approach to the project. The intersection of University and Northeast 3rd is shown on the screen here. Notice that the side street has a single 6x6 advanced loop. The city wants to use this loop in order to discriminate between the difference between a cycle, in this particular video, a scooter, and a car, and extend the green for safe passage, almost like bus priority in a way. The newest GTT Canoga Detector has the ability to do this and is being successfully implemented at this intersection. The video shows that the main line is getting the red while the scooter coming from the side street gets the green. We'll run the video a few times here. What we're showing is the main line, in this case University, get the red, while the scooter, which was detected by the advanced loop on Northeast 3rd, receives the green and safely turned right onto University there. In our last webinar, we described several detection technologies. Some of them, such as video detection, have bicycle detection capability, but video requires a substantial investment in mast arm infrastructure in order to mount the camera at the proper location. This Minneapolis intersection didn't have mast arm infrastructure on the side street, so the city wanted to use already existing inductive loops. So two of the key advantages of this newest Canoga detector are, one, the ability to differentiate between cycles and cars on a single 6x6, and two, the ability to leverage existing loop infrastructure. In addition, there are 20 different levels of sensitivity that can be programmed from an LCD panel to fine-tune the ability not only to pick up, but classify difficult-to-sense objects, such as bicycles. Lastly, all Canoga detectors have native communications, calculations, and storage capability directly on the detector. That means an external field processor, such as a traffic controller, programmable logic controller, or hardened computer, is not needed for performing these special data functions. In Minneapolis's case, they wanted Ethernet-based communication to the detector in order to bring back data from the loops. This is a sample of the classification report that is available from the newest Ethernet-enabled Canoga vehicle and bicycle detector. In this particular report, notice that mostly cars, highlighted in column I, are using this intersection, but other vehicle types are reported as well. The classification of bicycles and motorcycle types, combined with the classification-specific outputs on the detector, make it possible for unique bicycle treatment at signalized intersections, such as the one described in Minneapolis. On the screen is my contact information, along with the contact information for GTT Canoga's product lead, Eric Rolstad. In addition, a link to the GTT website is displayed for access to the recordings of the 3 detection-related seminars that we've hosted throughout the summer. At this point, I'd like to open it up with questions.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending today. We really do appreciate your time. We're seeing quite a few questions come across regarding the video that we showed. While we weren't able to get a great angle due to traffic, one thing that we do want to go back to re-highlight is the video. What happens is you have the scooter coming down 3rd Avenue Northeast. It hits the advanced loop here shown highlighted. And then 15 seconds later, just as he's getting to the stop bar, that's when this signalized intersection turns red on the main line, allowing safe passage. In this case, you just happen to be turning right, but safe passage from oncoming traffic across University, continuing on to 3rd if he so desired. That isn't specific to just the scooter. We've witnessed several occasions where bicycles were hitting not only the advanced loop and getting the green light 15 seconds later, but even bicycles that missed the advanced loop and still stopped at the stop bar, we're still getting a specific output based on detection at that stop bar. And then here at this corner, you can see very vaguely, that's where the traffic cabinet is located. Where we were able to implement this card. Paul, can you talk about what's actually going on inside the cabinet when this is happening?
Sure can, Eric. Yeah, so when the bicycle passed over the loop, the normal LED indicator triggered on the detector, and something called the event system in the Canoga 9004 was triggered in order to create that priority of 15 seconds that Eric mentioned. So a combination of the ability to sense the presence of the vehicle as well as the event system to do something about it is what makes that happen at this Minneapolis intersection.
right, thank you, Paul. Another question that we received is what were the factors that led Minneapolis to try the Canoga detector?
Okay, couple things on that. One is it might be difficult to view here on this Google Earth screen, but there is no mast arm on the side street, so there's no place to mount a camera for sensing the side street. So the customer was wanting to use an inductive loop rather than putting a mast arm up on the street explicitly for side street detection. They had tried video in other parts of the city and weren't happy with the performance, so wanted to really leverage their inductive loop infrastructure. The other thing is reports. So the ARC showed the sample report right here shown on your screen. That was a big part of wanting to try inductive loops for this intersection as well, as the reports that they were getting from their video system weren't as accurate as they were expecting. So, you know, a combination of both the intersection infrastructure as well as the reporting capability is what led to that.
Sure. Another question we're getting is how long will the card store these reports? Or how often do the customers need to pull them if they so choose?
So this is a function of how long your binning lengths are. Many engineers like to have 15-minute bin intervals, and at 15 minutes, the amount of storage that can be recognized is somewhere between 5 and 6 months. We've added quite a bit of storage capability to the 9004 in particular, and goes up from there as you increase your bin intervals to, say, an hour or so. So quite a bit of storage. What most customers do with Ethernet-based communications is they pull the data either through our software, on-site software, or to automatically pull it through our central management software so that the storage of the data isn't all that long on the detector card. But if you're stuck with going out to the intersection with a laptop yourself and needing to pull that information that's been stored, it's you know, up to 6 months of information approximately.
Another that has come in is that Minneapolis intersection, was that existing infrastructure or was that newly implemented to try the Canoga card?
That was using existing infrastructure, so no new loops needed to be cut or anything like that. So it was using existing infrastructure.
All right. Are there any other questions out there? Next question is, am I seeing the data correctly where there were no bytes detected on the classification report?
No, I think we're referring to column F here showing zeros. What column F is the number of unclassified vehicles. The bicycle column is column G and represents bin 1 bin 1. Then motorcycles, then cars, then vans, then panel trucks, then finally semis on the bin 6 column L field.
But we can say with confidence that, for example, on line 41, column G, and for that 15-minute interval, there were no bicycles that were classified over that, or there were no bicycles that crossed over those loops.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Any other questions? Nope. Well, with that, then we want to thank everybody for your time today. Please feel free to reach out to Paul or myself proactively. Paul and I will be reaching out to you as well to make the recording of this webinar available. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day.